Hello everyone, my name is Rusted Branch, and welcome to Mushroom Musume. This is a demo I found. It is a text-based story game where the choices really matter, but there's also a lot of luck involved. And if that doesn't sound appealing, go ahead and skip this one because it will be me reading a lot of text. But this is a really fun game. I've played a couple hours of it already, and I've got a few endings. And for this, I'm going to attempt to try and not die and get an ending I haven't had before. So rather than tell you what it's about, I think we should just get into it. Once upon a time, there was a humble recluse. Though they had no need for society, they did often find themselves home to a loneliness they could never quite shake. In the morning, the sun would rise. At night, it would set. The recluse would observe this splendor, knowing that the sight would be made all the more beautiful by having someone to share it with. It wasn't that they desired a relationship. Perhaps it was a flame that had burned them one too many times, or perhaps they were simply disinterested. No, a child. That's what they wanted, someone to take care of, to teach. Unfortunately, it was the longing that could not be found, not in these woods alone. However, we are never quite as alone as we think we are we? One day, a witch appeared, as if drawn by the intensity of the recluse's desire. The lumber that the recluse had spent the morning gathering slipped through their hands as they spotted her. The Witch of the Woods. She began to speak. You desire a child, yes? For some, those are quite easy to come by, but not you, it would seem. Let us make a deal then. If you do 3 simple chores for me, I will present you with a daughter of your very own. The recluse, caught up in the moment of naivete, quickly agreed. The witch, knowing that the recluse was destined to accept, simply nodded and began to deliver the first of these so-called chores without hesitation. There have been some activities I've been meaning to get to. Perhaps you can make yourself useful and cross one off the list for me. Not realizing that they were simply saving the witch some time, the recluse determined which task they were most suited for. And this is the kind of thing that will come up. Each has their own little symbol and something to go with it, so I could test a selection of elixirs for quality, attend to a certain matter of a noxious laundry basket, or restock a selection of unsettling components. For this, I'm going to attempt to choose as many things as I haven't chosen before, which I have never seen this one before, so we're going to test a selection of elixirs for quality. Surely the witch wouldn't offer anything that could kill or maim, right? The recluse tried to clear their head of worries as they carefully sipped. In the end, they did walk away safely, at the very least. Arriving back to their meeting point, the recluse was excited to report their progress to the witch. Ah, very good. How kind of you. After quickly wiping themselves down, the recluse returned to their hut for the remainder of the night. The second day, the recluse slept more soundly that night than they had in ages. Having a purpose again soothed them, even if they had found themselves caught up with a witch. They elected not to think about it, though. Instead, when the morning came, they simply did what they had to do, which is to say, they got up and went to meet with the witch. Upon watching the recluse's approach, a sardonic smile lit the witch's face. You completed your first task admirably. 2 more, and I can finally give you what you want. She paused for only a moment before delivering her next message of import. It is important for a young person to be well-grounded in this world, I hear. Bring me a jar of soil to help with this process. Keep in mind that not all dirt is the same, though. Consider the source carefully. Soil? That sounded somewhat magical, the recluse supposed. Left with this vague prompt, they considered their options. A quiet graveyard, a particularly limpy patch in the witch's front yard, the most picturesque section of the forest you've ever laid your eyes on. So I have gotten all these before. I don't know what any of them... Well, I guess I chose that one. Didn't mean to choose that, but sometimes if you click the wrong spot, I mean if you click the card it chooses it, but sometimes I will misclick. So we're rolling with it. That's another neat thing. If you accidentally skip the text, you can go back. A quiet graveyard. The walk to the gravesite was quiet. When their close arrived, they looked down at the grave of their mother. Perhaps this child wouldn't be related by blood, but she could be related by dirt, if nothing else. Arriving back at their meeting place, the recluse was excited to share their selection with the witch. So, that's what you picked, eh? Very well, it shall do. Feeling the need to scrub their skin, the recluse retired to their hut to cleanse themselves. The third day. With 2 assignments complete, the recluse could feel their excitement grow. If this witch was being honest, and for some reason they felt that she was, then that meant that this could be the last night they spent without a child. They hoped so, at least. That was all they could do. Barely remembering to get dressed, the recluse dashed to the meeting spot. Again, the witch had been waiting there for them. Welcome back, recluse. Are you prepared? Today is the big day, is it not? The last task is an easy one, or at least I believe so. Bring me something colorful, something bright that you think will suit her. When they were first told of the 3 tasks, the recluse had imagined things were much more difficult. This seemed so easy as to be a trick, which, they suppose, only meant that they should take it seriously, as if a mistake could mean death. With death in mind, the recluse needed to decide where to search for a color. So we've got a field of flowers, a stony river, or the cave of indecision. That one is where you just randomly get a choice. But I would rather go out to the flower field. If someone wanted color, where else would they even consider? The recluse decided to make their way to a particularly idyllic field of flowers. The field was filled with overwhelming amount of choice. Before long, the recluse narrowed the options down to a few. We got milkweed, bleeding hearts. No! I didn't mean to pick that. As the recluse plucked the crimson bleeding hearts from their base, they found their thoughts burning up. An old guess sprung to mind, and the bitter memories that came alongside them. Regardless, the recluse turned back to the flowers. Their daughter would be happy, healthy, and live a hearty life. So, whenever you choose a flower, it changes the game's color. And I was hoping to get a new flower, because you can unlock colors. But I hate this shade for playing the game, so I am going to change it, because you get to save the colors. Let's see. Verdigris was a nice one. I get some colors? Maroon? No, maroon looks terrible. I'm gonna go with my usual one. Pumpkin. Okay, that's probably a big change in color for you. But, see, it's much easier to read than the red. The recluse returned to the witch's hut, colored item in hand. She silently took the object, nodding her head to the recluse in recognition. The recluse stood there for a moment, unsure, before finally the witch realized what they expected. Ho ho ho! You want your promised daughter, don't you? Her voice was almost mocking, but at least it was not overtly cruel. I suppose I must tell you that I lied, human. I do require several more trifling things from you. First is the matter of payment. The recluse should have known that everything is for a cost. So you can pay with money, I can pay with some life, I can pay sometime soon, in larger quantities, or pay me at a much later date in the way I choose. So this is the only one I haven't chosen before. They told her that they could not pay her today, but would soon. Very well, another day then. With the payment settled, the witch simply smiled and handed the recluse a small pot. Humans are tricky, but mushrooms are much more resilient. Consider this an upgrade. Don't worry, eventually she will develop a mind. Simply give her time, as much as she needs. Soon your wish will be in full bloom. I suppose with all that settled, though, there's one last thing for you to consider. A young girl needs a proper name. The recluse thought of the witch's demand before offering the final thing they had to give. Oh, what should we name her? Because she's a mushroom. We'll call her Peach. Oh, what a unique name, recluse. Raise her well. Peachy. Oh, did I just... Hang on. I didn't realize that would be something that happened. Peachy. Oh, God, my eyes. We're sticking with this, though. Then she walked away, only fate knowing if the two should ever meet again. Chapter 2. Cultivation. The recluse was unsure of the specifics. They did realize that it was important to heed her instructions. Care for the pot and the dirt and everything that lay within. So the recluse geared up, as any parent should, and assessed the things they needed to raise a child. Finances, in case the nearby village had goods or services that you could not provide. Nutrients for the child, to help it grow strong. They would need plenty, as it would be depleted on a daily basis. And finally, the recluse's own stamina could not be ignored. One cannot burn the candle from both ends indefinitely. Thus began the longest growing season of the recluse's life. Harsh weather has taken its toll on your garden, and your entire harvest has been lost. But real fast, I want to show you. This is our daughter so far, a peachy mushroom. It is potted, and we are indebted. I have a debt to the witch. Weeks worth of food and labor has been rotted and destroyed. Without immediate action, you and your daughter will be in trouble later down the line. Till the garden? Or accept the loss and move on. Nothing I can do. Well, I've got 8 stamina, 8 finances, and 8 nutrients. If I do this, I'll gain nutrients but lose stamina. I don't know. I think I'll lose nutrients if I do that, but nothing else. Losing nutrients is probably the worst of the options, so I will plow the garden. No use crying over ruined crops. You simply make adjustments to your garden. There will be less variety this season, but you'll live to see it. That's what matters. Decision being made, life continued. One evening, you discover many footprints outside of your home. 3-toed and webbed, some strange creatures have been poking around. You have heard the rivers of these woods are home to nefarious turtle-like creatures that capture human children, only to bring them home and drown them. Your child isn't a human, but you can feel the leer of the envious eyes from the tree line. They know a precious daughter when they see one. By the look of the tracks, these ones are quite young. Perhaps you can do something to frighten them away from your home. Purchase a magic ward, keep your daughter inside in the evenings, hunt one of them, stand guard until they stop, or deal with the issue. I've never stood guard, and if they're young, I feel bad hunting them. I will stand guard. Turtle creatures are determined, but predictable and easy to frighten. Resolve to stand guard until they give up. Usually, the amphibious monsters scout the area before sunset, and make their move as soon as darkness falls. Standing at your doorway and brandishing a hatchet, you ward them off each night without fail. Occasionally, they test your determination. Their beady-eyed leers and whispered hooting persist long after midnight. A sleepless night or two are a small price to pay for your daughter's safety. Okay, lost some stamina, but everything else stayed fine. You successfully outlast them, and after 2 weeks, the signs of their intrusion cease. For now, they have given up, and you can once again spend your evenings with your daughter, worry-free. Decision being made, life continued. We chase off the Kappa. Oh? Hey! Your daughter has changed in the night. We gained a new trait, Mushroom Creature. One day you awaken suddenly, discovering that your mushroom has gained enough limbs to propel itself around the house. The creature toddles on uneasy legs, bumping into objects noisily, and a cute face now shows a vacant expression. Her demeanor seems pensive and unsure, sometimes staring long at unfamiliar objects. Encourage her thoughtfulness, spend some time nurturing her environment, or motivate her to do something more productive. I've done all of these before, so I want to motivate her. Concerned about your daughter's lack of enrichment, you decide to encourage her to do something else. You send her outside to utilize her newfound locomotion through play and exercise. You watch her cheerfully learn to run and jump about, becoming more daring with every moment. The decision being made, life continued. One evening, you hear a light knocking at your door, quite a rare occasion. Peeking through the window, you witness none other than the Witch of the Woods standing on the doorstep of your humble hut. Could she be here for a visit or to settle a debt? She is absolutely here to settle a debt. Ask her to postpone. I'm just going to pay it and see what happens. You greet her at the door, money in hand. If she's surprised, she sure doesn't show it. Thank you for your generous contribution. Consider our deal complete. She gives you a pleasant smile and a parting bow before returning to the woods. With that particular weight lifted off your shoulders, you rest a lot more peacefully than usual that night. The decision being made, life continued. Okay, so our finances are out. You've been irresponsible with your funds. One more necessary expense and you won't have enough food to survive. You loathe to interact with others, but you may have to find some work in town. You'd rather die poor than get a job, and you might, or suck it up and get to work. So I have hit this decision before. I've never chose you'd rather die poor, but that would probably end the game, and that's not what I'm here for. So I'm going to suck it up and get to work. Swallow your pride and go work in the village. It's demeaning work, but the fruits of your labor will ensure you and your daughter will survive another day. Decision being made, life continued. Huh? Something's happening. And she's now a child. Your daughter has changed in the night. One morning, you notice that your daughter is nowhere to be seen. After an hour of searching the nearby area, you find her sitting alone in a familiar clearing. To your surprise, the creature had now taken the form of a young girl. You feel relieved to confirm the witch hadn't betrayed you. At your approach, she turns and smiles at you before continuing to thoughtfully stare into space. Sit in silence with her, buy her a gift, or tell her it's time to go home. I don't want to run out of money again, and I don't know how much that will cost. And I've never told her it's time to go home. Usually I just sit with them and let them do whatever. You kneel beside your daughter and offer your hand, telling her it's time to go. She smiles brightly and the two of you return home, hand in hand. The decision being made, life continued. A flock of hungry birds has been harassing both your crops and your daughter recently. In fact, they've become quite the nuisance. Ignore the birds, fetch your bow, purchase some poison, or use some food to feed the birds with your daughter. Oh, that's a risk. Because I've never done this one, but we might run out of food. Feeding the bird comes as an unfortunate blow to your stores. But the cheerful smile as your daughter feeds the birds is a magical moment of pride for you. Friend of birds! Nothing more could be done to the birds. The matter was laid to rest. Your daughter needs food too, and you've just run out. You need to find something to feed her soon or she'll surely starve. So once again, she'll probably die. I don't want to do that. But this is handy because it will trade stamina for nutrients. You spend a day foraging and digging in the woods and return with a heap of mushroom food for your hungry daughter. Oh, it didn't trade stamina. It's a little hard to be sure, but it seems like she's thankful for your efforts. Decision being made, life continued. And end? One night you find yourself struggling to sleep. Your mind wanders as you consider your current place in life. You live peacefully with your daughter for many moons. Initially it was strange. Well, it never stopped being strange, but you were always thankful for the company. Besides, the affection you felt for her was like any parent would feel towards their child. That was normal, at least. Your thoughts turned to the concept of time, particularly how you were once alone, and how you are afraid that you'll be again someday. Your daughter has had more and more curiosities about the outside world. It's only a matter of time before she wants to strike her own path. You hope you will be fulfilled now. You hope you've done enough. Ultimately, you find comfort in what you've done. You may have had many failures in your life, but there's one thing you know you can die proud of. Alright, and a new beginning. So, this marks technically chapter 3, so thank you so much for watching me play Mushroom Musume, and in the next part we'll get to playing as the actual Mushroom Girl and see what she looks like as a young adult, I think. But anyways, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in part 2. Bye!